Scouting has taught me many skills that have helped me become a good football player. Leadership skills, discipline, a hard work ethic, all those directly translate to the football field. Scouting's changed my life in many ways. It's given me some of the best friends, it's given me some good survival skills, and it's given me the guidelines to be a good citizen and a good person in everyday life. I went to Foothill High School, played football there, played a multitude of positions, inside linebacker, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, safety. In 2014, I was able to earn a scholarship to Stanford University, playing inside linebacker. My freshman year, we won the Rose Bowl, and I feel like becoming an Eagle Scout has prepared me for anything in life, any challenge or any obstacle I want to overcome or anything I want to accomplish. When people hear I'm an Eagle Scout and when I find other Eagle Scouts, you know, there's a tremendous amount of respect. People recognize the amount of time and effort it takes into becoming an Eagle Scout. And one of the reasons I get to wear this uniform is because the values I learned in my scouting uniform throughout my scouting journey.
Welcome to the first ever virtual Eagle Scout celebration for the Orange County Council. I'm Joseph Hovanessian, your MC for this special event. This definitely is an unusual Eagle Dinner event because most of you are probably not eating. Some of you may not even be in uniform, and some of you might not even be wearing pants right now. I know I'm not. One thing we all have in common is that we all are Eagle Scouts, and today we'll be celebrating that fact. In fact, last year, an astonishing 755 Scouts earned the rank of Eagle Scout in the Council. 4 Sea Scouts earned the rank of Quartermaster, and 4 Venturers earned the Venturing Summit Award. As we do with every scouting event, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, the Scout Oath, and the Scout Law. To help us do this, we're going to have members from Troop 35, both members of our boy troop and our girl troop, lead us. Scout salute if you're in uniform. If you're not in uniform, please put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, the Scout Oath.
On my honor,
I will do my best
to do my duty to God and my country,
and to obey the Scout Law,
to help other people at all times,
to keep myself physically strong,
mentally awake, and morally straight.
And the Scout Law.
A Scout is trustworthy,
Loyal,
helpful,
friendly,
courteous,
kind,
obedient, cheerful,
thrifty,
brave, clean,
and reverent.
Becoming an Eagle Scout is a wonderful accomplishment, but most of us would agree it's the journey to Eagle that we really learn from. For me, it's the journey to Eagle that was such an amazing ride that taught me so many lessons. For example, if you don't get the soap off your dishes, you're going to pay the price. The wonderful thing is that even though our journey to Eagle is over, our future will have a lot more adventures, and we can feel a little bit more prepared because of all the lessons we've learned in scouting. Plus, our resumes look a lot better. So, congratulations on becoming an Eagle. On behalf of the Orange County Council, I'm really glad you're here for this special celebration of you and me, but there are more of you than me. Next, I'd like to introduce the chair. Here's the chair. Oh, no, not that chair. Oh, sorry, I meant to introduce the chair of this year's Eagle Scout celebration, Deputy District Attorney Ray Genoway, one of the top law enforcement officials in Orange County. I hope that none of you ever get on the business end of Mr. Genoway. Mr. Genoway is an Eagle Scout who grew up in Orange County and was a member of Troop 772 in Laguna Niguel. Our film crew had a chance to catch up with him earlier this week to see his thoughts on being an Eagle Scout and this odd event. Take it away, Mr. Genoway.
I'm Ray Genoway, chairman of this year's Eagle Scout celebration, and I want to congratulate all of you Eagles, all 755 of you who earned the Eagle Award in the year 2019. I remember earning the Eagle Scout Award in the year 2001 with Troop 772 in Laguna Niguel, and I'll never forget the experience and the training that it provided me as I went forward in college and in a career. I will always remember earning the Citizenship in the Nation Merit Badge, and going with the Orange County Council to the National Boy Scout Jamboree in 2001 to Fort A.P. Hill, where just days before we had an opportunity to tour the United States Capitol building. Years later, I would work in that building as a legislative assistant in the U.S. House of Representatives. I will always remember earning the Law Merit Badge, where my Scoutmasters showed me the inside of a courtroom for the first time. Years later, after earning a law degree, I would be putting on jury trials inside that courtroom, prosecuting some of the most dangerous gangsters in our community. Never forget how the training and experience that you've earned through scouting will help propel you through college, in your career, and beyond. Be prepared will always be on the front of your mind. This event would not be possible without our sponsors, so I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank Distinguished Eagle Scout Robert Anderson Shopey, a fluid master, who was kind enough to provide a pocket knife to each one of our Eagle Scouts to commemorate this occasion. Our Distinguished Eagle sponsor, Saunders Properties. Golden Eagle sponsors, SA Recycling and Steadfast Companies. Silver Palm sponsors, Dan Hay and Thrivent. Bronze sponsors, Sons of the American Legion, Post 291. Surf City Rotary Club, and David Thiel. Thank you also to each one of our Eagle Scout sponsors. And a big thank you to Eagle Scout John Brown and The Show Pros for helping with the video production for this event. It is now my honor to introduce Russell Etzenhauser. Russell is an Eagle Scout and the president and Scout executive of the Orange County Council. Russell's got a few thoughts to share with us.
So as Eagle Scouts, we all know that scouting is all about the adventure. And today we've had a chance to see scouting in action here at the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Camp. And now I'm going to take the zip line and go all the way down to the Newport Sea Base where we can see more scouting in action, even in the midst of COVID. We'll see you there. Wow, that was a long trip. All the way down from the IROEC up in Orange down here to the Newport Sea Base. It's a great place to see a bunch of scouting happening because here, even in the midst of the COVID virus, we've got scouting going on. In fact, today we've got over 170 scouts that are out on the water enjoying programs right here at the Newport Sea Base. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us. As Eagle Scouts, we know that it isn't just that we get stuff done, it's that we keep after it until everything gets done. And if there's anything that this COVID crisis has taught us, it's been that we've got to be flexible, we've got to be ready to do what we need to stay safe, and at the same time, we can get out and still do scouting. It's great to see scouting happening. Now, Baden-Powell said that a scout has to be prepared for just about anything that comes his or her way. Well, today we're certainly facing it, and it's a tribute to each of you today as we recognize you on the achievement of your Eagle Scout and all that you've done, that you're one of those young people that knows how to make things happen, knows how to get things done, and most importantly, stays with it until the job is done. Congratulations to each of you, and congratulations as you go forward and continue to serve our communities as Eagle Scouts. Thank you.
Last year, my Eagle Scout project was chosen as the Council Eagle Scout Project of the Year. The full name of that award is the Glenn and Melinda Adams Council Eagle Scout Project of the Year Award. To help introduce this year's honoree, it is my pleasure to welcome Glenn Adams to our event. Mr. Adams?
Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that kind introduction. The background of the Glenn and Melinda Adams Eagle Scout Service Project of the Year came about when I was the president of the National Eagle Scout Association. Something that we never had our hands on was how many hours of service did these service projects performed by Life Scouts to earn the Eagle rank add up to? What did it really mean to their communities and to the nation? So I asked Bill Steele, who was the director of NESA, if we could modify the Eagle Scout application and put in a line to where we could calculate the number of hours of service by all the Eagle Scouts in America for each year. We did that, and the number that came up really astounded us. It was in excess of 10 million hours of service each year by Life Scouts doing their service projects. Because of this, we thought that this would be a great idea that we could focus on, is these hours of service to community and nation. So we created and funded the Adams Service Project of the Year. This was over 10 years ago. Today, thousands of scouts from around the country in our 261 councils all have their projects nominated. So we decided to make this a national competition for Eagle Scouts across the country. Out of our 261 councils, thousands of scouts each year have their projects nominated, and there is a winner established in each council. Calvin, I just want to say, after reviewing your project, that you created such a warm, peaceful, and contemplative space that you should truly be proud of what you have done. You showed true leadership to coordinate scouts and non-scouts to create this place that benefits both your community and reflects upon your commitment to the 12th point of the Scout Law, that a scout is reverent. Thank you so much for the great work you have done benefiting scouts and benefiting your community. And it is a pleasure indeed to be with all of you at this time to celebrate this great achievement. Thank you very much.
I chose this project because I want to do garden projects because they aligned with my skill set from gardening with my dad at home. And my mom actually works here, and she was able to introduce me to the professor, the new biology professor, who wanted to create a garden space that the community could use. And that's where I came upon the idea of a prayer garden. And it really took a lot of searching online at pictures of benches and trellises and paths and water features. And I even looked at different lists of native plants that we could plant in here and when they bloomed, so that they'd bloom when the students were on campus. I was able to pick out different designs that would both be easy for a team of Boy Scouts to put together quickly and look nice in the garden space that I'd envisioned. I also found the water wall, which worked out just perfectly because we were taking out an old shower, so we could use the glass from the shower to make this big, cool water feature. And for the trellises, I designed them myself by hand, drawn on paper. And I wanted them to bend like they do, so that they'd block out more sun and try and shade the benches more during the year. The professor that works here at Concordia planted them out with hops for some of his classes to do their science projects. And I was able to get some of the university groups on campus involved. For example, with this cross that's in front of the water wall, and for some of the rocks with passages on them to really complete the prayer garden. I'm used to just helping around at home and doing all the side tasks, and this project put me in the position where I had to manage a group of people, and I was the leader in charge. And I was able to see how the skills I learned to help people transformed into guiding people to create this big space. I feel like I've been able to help improve the community with my Eagle Scout project. And as an Eagle Scout, I feel like other Eagle Scouts should be able to improve the world around them in a similar way. I got involved in scouting all the way back in Cub Scouts, and I really just did it because all my friends were doing it too. It's become more of like a lifelong thing than just something to go have fun doing. What's really stuck out to me about scouting is just the friendships I have that just stick around, and how much fun it is to just go do the different camping trips, how much more fun it can be with the friends that I've made along the way scouting. I definitely encourage anyone and everyone to get involved in Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. I feel like it's made me a better person, and it's also prepared me for life beyond scouting.
Did you know that right here in Orange County, you can see with your very own eyes a collection of artifacts from primitive people who were headhunters, societies that collected the heads of dead enemies as trophies? It'll blow your mind. That joke really fell on its face. This is headed in a bad direction. I better quit while I'm ahead. Anyways, it's a really cool exhibit at the Bowers Museum. Even cooler is that the president of the museum, Dr. Peter Keller, is an Eagle Scout. We have asked Dr. Keller to help us introduce our keynote speaker for our celebration. Dr. Keller?
Hello and welcome. I'm Peter Keller, president of the Bowers Museum in Santa Ana, California, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to my home here in the Spirits and Headhunters Gallery. This gallery means a lot to me. It represents 12 expeditions, month-long expeditions to the Pacific Islands, largely around New Guinea, and collecting to reflect the peoples of the world. This really relates a great deal to my personal experience with the Boy Scouts, where I became an Eagle Scout, Troop 1, Allentown, Pennsylvania, in 1963. That was a long time ago. But that experience drove me to wanting to spend most of my time in the boonies, and that's what led to 3 degrees in geology, so I'd never have to live in an office. But I've been living in an office ever since. I do get to escape on these expeditions through the Explorers Club, where Dr. Maniak, tonight's speaker, and I really got to know each other. It's now a pleasure to introduce the distinguished Dr. Mike Maniak, who's going to speak about his experiences with medicine and being out in the boonies. Something perfect for an Eagle Scout.
Welcome, everybody, to the Orange County Council Eagle Recognition Award activity. So tonight, I'm very honored and very humbled to be able to speak to you tonight about some of my background and how that might relate to all of you Scouts out there and you Eagles out there. I also think it'll be entertaining for all you parents as well. So, you know, I've kind of titled this Prepared for Life, and how Scouting prepares you for life, for the many things that you're going to face, that you're going to do throughout your life. And I'm going to share with you how these have affected me. Now, as a means of introduction, I am a vice president of the National Eagle Scout Association, and I'm in charge of the World Explorer program. And we're going to talk about that a little later. But I wear many hats. I'm a physician, I'm a urologist, was a surgical specialist, and I spent 16 years in academia at the George Washington University, where I was the chairman of the Department of Urology for 10 years. So I did a lot of cancer surgery, a lot of research, taught young physicians to their particular training and their expertise to become urologists. And then I wear other hats too. So I'm very active in the Explorers Club, and I've received some high honors with them. We'll talk a little bit about that because it's germane to our talk tonight. I also consult for at least 5 large companies on coronavirus management currently. I'm the chief medical advisor for crisis response for Accenture, for example, and also for the Washington Board of Trade. My full-time job is still with GlaxoSmithKline. I'm the urology expert for GlaxoSmithKline throughout the world. So these are different hats that you wear, and you will find yourself wearing many hats throughout your life. But what you're going to find is that there's a common thread with scouting, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So here are some of the things that I've done, and you know, basically scouting has given me that infrastructure for all of these activities. So whether it was playing sports or undergraduate education, or then on to medical school, or then to research in cancer and biotechnology, or training physicians, or going on to do expedition medicine. Their very common thread there is the training in the background you got in scouting. And as an Eagle Scout, you're particularly endowed and imbued with those principles. And I think that you will learn that as you go on in your life. You know, when I was your age, and I was told that same thing, that, you know, this is a great background for you, I wasn't so sure either. Said, yeah, that's great. I love being an Eagle, and it was a great experience. But yeah, okay, we're moving on to life. Well, I will tell you time and again, you will go back to the principles you learned in scouting and rely on them to guide your life. And I'm forever thankful that I had that opportunity as a young man to receive that kind of training, because no matter what you do, and I don't care what it is, what field, whatever, you're going to have to use those same principles. And so I believe strongly in scouting. You know, I was out of scouting for 40 some years. I was, you know, I just got disconnected from it with all the things I was doing. And then about 10 years ago, I was dragged back into the tent, so to speak, and became a member of the NISA committee, and now vice president of that. And we built the World Explorer program, which you're going to hear about a little bit later. But, you know, I'm really happy to be back. And it's great. I'm sorry that I'm not there in person, because I really enjoy doing these award ceremonies, because I get to meet such fantastic young men like you. And now we'll have young women as well joining us as we're going forward. So, you know, but the principles are the same. Doesn't matter. And I want to really impress that upon you, and hope that you remember that someday. You'll think back, yeah, that guy said that night, and he was right. And I think that's what you're going to see. So anyway, let's move on. So I have listed here some of the expeditions I've been on. See, I'm a urologist. I'm a cancer surgeon, and I work with the urinary tract, so kidney, bladder, prostate, things like that. There's a lot of cancer, there's a lot of biotechnology involved. But I had a parallel life in expedition medicine. So what I do basically is I get people ready to go on expeditions, and then sometimes I get to go, which is fantastic. So I've listed here on this slide here some of the places I've been, and I'm going to share with you some photos from these expeditions. But here's the important point. See, you do this stuff as an Eagle and as a Scout going through your training. So there's no reason that you have to quit when you turn 18. And that's my message to you today. You can continue to follow those things that made you passionate, and provide those experiences in life, and you can do that. And I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, there are many ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the way I did it, okay? So here are the things that are listed here on this slide, going to different places. I'm going to share some of those photos with you. But first, a word about a few other things. Now, I've been able to go on and publish different things about expedition medicine, in addition to, you know, I've published 170 papers, professional papers in my area of urology and cancer and biotechnology, but also expedition medicine. And this book, Lizard Bikes and Streets Rides, is designed for the traveler. What are the problems you run into, and how do you deal with them, whether it's security or whether it's health? They're both intertwined. And it was very well received by you know, the publishers and different organizations, and it was a finalist for the best book in the travel section back in 2016. So it talks about some of these things and provides, you know, experience and you know, how to handle different problems. Not unlike a little bit like your Boy Scout manual, but more involved for medical issues and security issues. So what is expedition medicine? Okay, it's a subset of wilderness medicine. Now, you know about wilderness medicine. You've already done that. You've been out there. Scouting is a perfect example of what happens with wilderness medicine. You've all had first aid. You've all had a variety of things that contribute to your knowledge about wilderness medicine. So these are people that do medical missions or search and rescue, scouting, adventure racing, event medicine. That's all part of wilderness medicine. So that's medical care where you do not have access to standard resources. And therefore, you have to make do with what you have. So you need to be prepared. Imagine that, be prepared. Okay, so expedition medicine is a subset of that. So this is remote medical care while on an organized scientific or educational event. It's been very well characterized as military medicine for the civilian because it has many things in common with the military approach to medical problems in the field. So it's a very interesting and rewarding area to work in. Now, so this photo you see, okay, what does the explorer see? Well, you see this guy going in a kayak over the falls. So this is an expedition, it's adventure, it's a challenge certainly. Maybe you're gonna get some scientific knowledge out of that. But what does the doctor see who's on this trip? Well, he sees trauma, potential for hypothermia, the need to possibly rescue somebody, the need to evacuate somebody. So I have a different perspective when I'm on an expedition than the people there for having a good time or doing the activities that they were planning to do. I've got to watch out for everybody's health, and I got to be prepared ahead of time. So that's the spirit of expedition medicine. Now, there are many medical problems you could run into, but there are several common things to every expedition, such as you're probably in a remote location, so you're going to have limited resources. You may be forced to face trauma for a variety of reasons of the activities that you're doing, the location you're in. You need communication, you need transportation, you need a plan to evacuate someone if they really get injured or sick, and then other things like your water supply, et cetera. Some of these things you've already worked on when you're a scout, but you're going to need to do that. And that's what the military does. Those are exactly the same principles they have to do. Then you have all the location specific issues you run into depending on where you're going, whether it's hot or cold or high or low or cold or hot. You're going to have different problems that you need to think about ahead of time. Okay, and that's what expedition medicine is. Now, I'll start by showing some of the expeditions I've been in. I think you might enjoy this. Probably the one that gets the most attention is the Titanic salvage expedition, where I was a medical doctor on the Titanic salvage expedition and went down to the Titanic in the small submarines that you see in the movies. I know all those guys. Those are the people that I went down there with. The Titanic is 2.5 miles down, straight down in the ocean. Here's my photo that I took with my 35mm camera out of the porthole in the submersible. And you can see the quality is the same as it is for National Geographic. And you can see a very classic picture of the Titanic. So it was a phenomenal experience. And here are some other photos to show some of the things. You can see me getting into the submersible there. That submersible is actually a former Russian satellite, the Soyuz spaceship, that has been reconfigured to be a submersible. It's got 2.5-inch titanium hull, and it's got portholes, 3 portholes. They're 8 inches thick, made of acrylic. There's tremendous pressures down there. 6,000 pounds per square inch would make you obliterated if you had a leak down there. So some of the things you see here on the other side of the slide here, you can see me. I was the number 2 guy on the trip. I was the person that was the second in command, so to speak. Not that I had any command, duties, but I was the one that would take every time we ran across an artifact or stopped somewhere. You had to film it and record it in 3 dimensions, and make sure that we have a very good record of everything we found. And here are some of the things we found. You can see the shoes from a suitcase that we found was perfectly preserved because of the chemicals in the leather process. So these shoes were as good as the day the guy went down, almost 100 years before we found them. And then you see on the bottom photo there, a picture of a man's hat we picked up off the ocean floor almost 100 years after it went down there. Amazing that it was still preserved, but it has chemicals in that millinery process for making the hats, and that kept the small animals away from eating it up and digesting the biological material. So this is my favorite photo. We're using the robotic arm to lift up a man's hat off the ocean floor. Here's some other photos. In the upper left, you see the young lady there. She was a curator, and we found the wares of a perfume salesman on his way to the United States to establish his trade. And they have all these different smells, and you could customize, put different drops of different things and make it specifically for the customer. They smelled exactly the same as the day they went down when you open those little tubes. Very fascinating, very eerie to see that. Then going counterclockwise, you see a series of pieces there that were found again in that suitcase that I mentioned before, including the omnibus tickets that were still very plainly legible in his omnibus in London before they left to go join the Titanic. You see that little pistol there? That was for his son. And we know that little silver object there you see is engraved with the man's name. That's how we know who it was. He was a third-class traveler and he did not survive. So we got closure for the family by bringing these artifacts back. Then you see the telegraph that connected the bridge and the engine room, so that when the people on the bridge saw the iceberg coming and said something that probably can't be printable right now, they basically said were able to try to change the course of the ship quickly, but it wasn't in time. And it struck a glancing blow and knocked a hole in the side of the Titanic and it sank. In the top picture there is the Russians that we worked with who had developed the submersible. And here they have to jump in the water, which is very turbulent, and release the cable so that the submersible can go away and go down the 2.5 miles down to the Titanic. So very interesting things that went on out there. We recovered 800 and some artifacts, and it was a fantastic experience. There've only been a couple of those. There've been more people that have gone up in space than have gone down to the Titanic. So it's a real special privilege to have done that. Next, we'll talk about going to Central Africa, where I went to the Central African jungles, which are the last unexplored jungles in Africa. This is with the executive producer of National Geographic Explorer Series. We were there on a site visit to do a larger expedition into the middle there, looking for unknown animals. And you can see here in the top corner up there, the pygmies. We worked with the pygmies. They were fantastic. They are here making their arrows they put poison on them to hunt their dinners. Then going down again, counterclockwise again, you see an elephant there. There were animals all over the place. This elephant walked out about 10 feet in front of us. Never heard it, never saw it until it walked out in front of you. I'm telling you, it's a rude awakening. Then, of course, you get other friendly critters like this spider here. That's a huntsman spider. They're also known as rain spiders because guess what? They come in when it rains. Well, we're in a rainforest, so it's raining all the time. So guess what? You find them inside. And you can see the size of this spider is almost a foot from leg to leg. And we had to keep a close eye on these things. We didn't know if they were poisonous. They probably had some mild toxin in them. But they're big enough, they'd probably bleed to death if they bit you. So we kept a good eye on these guys. They were big. And in the upper corner, this is the pygmies giving me a water supply. I said, why aren't you carrying canteens? And they said, well, we don't need it. We have water out in the jungle here. So they cut down a vine and said, here, try this. And it was 2 glasses of cold, clear, pure water, which was phenomenal. So of course I told them, well, I'd be able to do that then. And they said, and I pointed to another vine and they just laughed and said, that one's poisonous. I said, okay, I got it. I'm staying with you guys in the jungle here, and tell you what, when you come and visit me in Washington, D.C., I'll be with you. Make sure you don't get in trouble up there. So we had a good laugh about it. They're wonderful people. They sing all the time and just really cool. Here's some other photos from that location in Central Africa. You can see the Bantu Ranger in the lower corner on the right there. Did I mention it was hot in the rainforest? Yes, it's very hot and drips all the time. And you can see in this airplane was the only way we had to come in and out of there because there are no roads. That's the best road that was there that you can see in the upper corner where the car was. So if we had a problem, we weren't getting out of there very easily or very quickly unless we had a plane. Now these planes, you don't know about the service record, so it was always something to be careful about. And there you can see where we had dinner every night. This was sitting over the Sangha River, which is a big tributary of the Congo River. It was loaded with hippos and Nile crocodiles, 20-foot Nile crocodiles. So you didn't want to fall into that water. So anyway, fantastic place, but different medical problems entirely. Next, you contrast that with Antarctica, where I went with 100 students with 9 scientists to go do scientific experiments. And if you can see this photo, you can see a tiny little dot in the middle there. That's our zodiac there. These are huge glaciers, absolutely beautiful place. Never thought that blue and white and gray could be so pretty, but it is amazing. Antarctica is a fantastic place. It's loaded with animals and fish and 35 million seals down there. And we did have an adventure there. And here's a picture of the tourist ship that was trapped. in the pack ice that blew together. So 3 feet of ice. They couldn't get out. And they sent out an SOS for help. And we were the closest thing. We were an icebreaker. We were 16 hours away. It took us that long to get there and free this ship. But boy, were they happy to see us. Now, this is the easiest thing I ever had to do. I could just sit and drink coffee while the captain, plowed through the ice and got to the ship to free these people. But all the kids had a great time and were very excited about the whole thing. Fortunately, it ended in a good way. Now, and move on to another site. This is back in Africa, but in a dry part of Africa. This is in Tanzania. And you can see in the background there, one of the 2 active volcanoes in Africa, which is known as Volcano Langai. And it's a very ancient volcano as well. And you can see right behind the people sitting there is an old, volcanic ash field. Now, when volcanic ash mixes with water, then it creates perfect cement. And there are usually atmospheric disturbances when you have volcanic eruptions. So there was rain, and it created this perfect cement in which we found several old footprints. And you can see the Maasai found these in the middle of nowhere, and we were the first people to come and evaluate these. Turned out to be, these are about 20,000 years old. The slide is incorrect there. It's actually about 20,000 years old. That was recently published. But these are Homo sapiens, so they're people like us. But they're very large feet. These guys were big. They were not little people. They were over 6 feet tall, the 2 men that were in this group. And we found there were 24 footprints in the open, and we found another 37 that we uncovered, including 8 or 9 that I did too. There's my foot next to one of them. You can see how big their foot was. Fascinating. Very dry and different set of medical problems out there though. So then back to Africa for the work with the Smithsonian Human Origins Program, where Rick Potts is the director of this. He's a world famous paleoanthropologist. He invited me to come and join him at the dig in the Smithsonian Hazard. It's phenomenally productive. And here we are digging 1 million-year-old fossils out of the Kenyan soil there. It was a fantastic experience. But again, problems with heat, with dryness, and remote area for sure. Then on to Mongolia. This is northern Mongolia. Now I know if anybody has ever been to Michigan, where I grew up, the Great Lakes are very large, and this is what they look like a little bit. So this is a very large lake. It holds 2 to 3% of the world's fresh water, and it's in northern Mongolia. It's very remote. It's right on the Siberian border, and we went to do the first scientific dive in Siberia. And here are some photos from there. You can see fish that came out to see us because they'd never seen humans. The Mongolians don't fish, and it's a cultural thing. So the fish were not afraid of us. I would love to have had to put a couple of these on the grill. I'm sure they were delicious. They were cod species. I'm sure they were fine, but we didn't do that, obviously. But you can see there were old boats in there from the Russian time, and you can see the clarity of the water. Now, this was a very high altitude dive. It was at 5,000 feet, so you've got different issues if you're a diver than you know about the dive tables you have to pay attention to. Plus, it's really cold. I said Siberia, right? Yeah, well, it was. So we had to have what's known as a dry suit, which is a double layered suit for diving. Then next expedition was on to the deepest canyon in the world, which is in Peru, in southern Peru. It's called the Colca Canyon. And it's deeper than the Grand Canyon. Here's the widest place on the road that goes down to the bottom of the canyon. And you can see how narrow that is, and there are no guardrails or anything. So we're always very careful about possibly falling and paying attention. It's absolutely beautiful, but it was rugged, very rugged. And you can see in this next series of photos, in the upper corner there, you can see how difficult that road is. And if you fell, you'd still be rolling for a while. And in fact, somebody did fall, and you can see the gentleman here. We had to evacuate him. He had some bad injuries. Fortunately, he's fine. He remains to be a good friend of mine. He thanks me all the time, every time I talk to him. But we had to medically evacuate him, get a helicopter in the middle of the Andes Mountains, which is not easy to do, and we got him out of there. And you can see there's the campsite. That's not a view from the helicopter. That's a view from the trail walking down to the campsite. That's how narrow it was. This is the one I was kind of scared on, to be honest with you. But fortunately, we were able to come out with only one casualty there, and he's doing fine now. But with different set of problems, we had to be prepared for everything. Then back to Mongolia again for the next one to evaluate the wild camel, a brand new species of camel discovered. We have one hump camels and two hump camels, as you know. The dromedaries are one humped and the Bactrians are two humped. Well, this is a third species of camel, and it also has two humps, but very narrow, small humps. You see me sitting on a Bactrian camel there. They're hairy and dark brown, and they've got rounded humps. But this species has pointed humps, is blonde, and has flat heads, very different. There are less than 1,000 of these around, and they're 700,000 years older than the two types of camels that we know in the world today. And they broke off much earlier in their evolutionary process. So here are some spectacular pictures from Mongolia and the trip there. It was the dead of summer, and yet we had snow in the mountain passes when we came through. And we had biblical rains. It poured for 3 days, such that it washed out part of the road. And that's why the driver's down there looking at the road to see where we can go to. But so a whole different set of problems in Mongolia. So next, I want to talk to you, how do you become an explorer? How do you get to do these kind of things? Well, you can do them. So what are the traits of an explorer? Well, you need to be curious and you need to be observant, but you need to follow your passion too. So if you've got a particular area that you like, then get involved in that area and be persistent about following it, because you will be rewarded for that persistence. And how do you do that? You know, you become involved. You seek others in an area of interest that you have. So your science teachers, your scientists in the community, your local universities or community colleges, or chapters of organizations with exploration interests. National Geographic, the Explorers Club, World Wildlife Fund, NASA, there are all kinds of organizations that do exploration. And then what I strongly suggest is you go and sit with those people and you volunteer to help them. People love to have volunteers help. And that's how you get experience and get credentials then to become an explorer. That's how I did it. That's how it started. Now, the other thing you could do is join the Explorers Club. And the soundbite for the Explorers Club is that it's first to both poles, the first to the deepest part of the ocean, the first to the highest point on Earth, and the first to the moon. These were all members of the Explorers Club. And you can see here the headquarters, which are in New York, with the large tusks there. But there are many Eagle Scouts that are in the Explorers Club. I will sponsor anybody that wants to become a member of the Explorers Club. You have to be 16. And you come in as a student member, which is great because you don't have to pay that much money. But it's a great network and a great place to be able to meet people that are explorers, real explorers. Now, the other thing you could do is earn the Exploration Merit Badge. Now, I was the one that created the Exploration Merit Badge. When I talked to people at the National Jamboree, I said, how come we don't have an Exploration Merit Badge? And they looked around and they said, well, I don't know. Why don't you propose one? So I did. I wrote up the proposal, and then it was accepted, and we created the Exploration Merit Badge. Now we have over 10,000 scouts that have earned this badge in the last 3 years. It teaches you the basics for an expedition. It ranges anywhere from molecular biology to aerospace exploration. That's all different types of exploration. And we have an advisory board of explorers to serve as a resource for the Exploration Merit Badge. So that's really a good thing. Now here's the Exploration Merit Badge. You can see this is the logo for this. And I'll tell you a funny story because this is very interesting because the Scouts had a hand in this. So I was on the committee to try to pick the logo for the merit badge, right? And so they sent me different things. And they sent me this one with the hat and the sunglasses there, binoculars. And you can see, well, that's Indiana Jones, right? And I said, but where's the whip? And everybody said, oh, you can't do that. That's violence, that's subjugation. We can't have that in the Boy Scouts. I said, come on, it's Indiana Jones. Everybody knows what that is. And so I then went to the National Jamboree, and I also went to the NOAC national meeting and spoke there. And it had, thought I was going to speak to 30 people. Well, they had 1,200 people sign up for it. And so 3 groups of 400 each came in, and standing room only in the auditorium. And I asked the question, what do you think about this logo? And everyone said, where's the whip? So I laughed and I took that back to Scouts and I said, the Boy Scouts say they want to know where the whip is. So they said, all right. So they put it in. Now I think you automatically get that picture when you see that. Anyway, that's the exploration merit badge. So I encourage you to get that. The other thing we've done, I created the World Explorer program that's under NISA's guidance. And here's our flag for that. We send nationally selected Eagle Scouts on expeditions every year. And I'll show you about some of those. And this began in 2014 with one Eagle as a pilot program. And ever since then, we've been able to send a number of Eagle Scouts to remote areas for exploration. So the World Explorer program began with one Eagle as a pilot, and then it's expanded to about 15 Eagles per year that we try to send to 6 different destinations. We had to postpone this year, but we'll pick it up again next year. So these are, we end up getting about 150 very well qualified applicants. And then I have a terrible job trying to select who gets to go with the committee, of course, that does that. Now, here are the destinations that we're going to. We go to the Amazon, to the deepest part of the Amazon. We go to the Galapagos Research Station for marine biology. We go above the Arctic Circle to work with the Smithsonian Narwhal Tusk Research Program. We go to South Africa for paleoanthropology, the Mammoth Cave for cave exploration, bald eagles, banding and studying them for environmental protection. And then we work with NASA with the astrobiology program, where they're looking for origins of life and also life on other planets. So we have others in planning. If we have enough money and time, we're going to add more programs to this. So here's some pictures I'll show you quickly. Here's one of our eagles in Amazon. As you can see, you make new friends. So that large spider there, he became good friends with, as you can see. It's a tarantula that's actually harmless, but sure doesn't look like it, does it? And then in the Galapagos, you're actually able to scuba dive and work with endangered sea turtles and tag them. So that's a fascinating experience as well. And here's another picture of the land tortoises there on the Galapagos, which are only found in that location. Then paleoanthropology in South Africa. This is with Lee Berger, who's a distinguished Eagle Scout also. He found 2 new early human species in the last 8 or 9 years in South Africa, and here's one of them. And you get to participate in that. And oh, by the way, it's in the middle of a game reserve. So there are animals around, including this big rhino, which was very curious about everything. So fantastic program. And here are the eagles as they came out of the cave. Then here's the narwhal tusk research project. You get in the water with the narwhals up above the Arctic Circle with the Smithsonian experts, and it's a fascinating experience. That tusk is actually a sensory organ and not just a tooth. It detects oxygenation, salinity, and temperature, and therefore regulates mating and feeding behavior of these very unusual endangered animals. Then the Cave Research Foundation at Mammoth Cave. This is the largest underground system in the world, and each year our eagles have extended the world record for the longest system. The research has been published, and it's a great opportunity to work in the caves. We had a jungle survival and leadership course for a while. We don't have this anymore, but that was fantastic. And these special forces guys told us that our Eagle Scouts, they would take anywhere in the world with them. They did a great job working on different things that we had for them there. Then we also go to a dinosaur excavation in Montana that is excavating the largest dinosaur in Montana history. It's a 110-foot long sauropod, and our eagles were actively involved in doing that research as well. So a fascinating time. If you want to dig dinosaurs, this is a pretty cool place to do it. Then the NASA astrobiology program here is in Yellowstone, in areas where the public cannot go. And here are some great photos of some of the pools, the hydrothermal pools, where they're discovering life at the edges that live in conditions that wouldn't sustain any of us as humans or animals on Earth here. But this is very interesting for life in outer space. Fantastic and beautiful place to be. And then lastly, the Bald Eagle Survey with a world expert in ornithology who's also a NOESA, National Outstanding Eagle Scout, and very active in the Washington, D.C. chapter. He's the head of the environmental department at the University of Maryland, and a wonderful guy. And he takes us right up into the nest to band these baby eagles, which that's a 9-month-old eagle right now. It's pretty big. He's got huge talons. So I'd like to end today with a quote that I think is really good and really resonates with me. and I hope it resonates with you. And that is, you may not be able to make life longer, but you can make it wider. And that is what you do with exploration. And I hope I've done my job tonight and inspired at least one of you to go on and do something in exploration once you leave scouting, because it's fantastic and I think it'll be very rewarding for you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and God bless you in your endeavors and your future life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maniak, for your very informative presentation. Those are very cool adventures that you've been on. Thank you. Scouts, Scouters, and family members, I hope you have enjoyed our event as we have celebrated the Eagle Scout class of 2019. Boy, it's sure been a weird year, but Scouting continues to carry on, and Scouts continue to earn the rank of Eagle Scout. In just a couple of months, the very first girls in our program will join us as they complete their Eagle Boards of Review, and they are bestowed the honor of Eagle Scout. Eagles have always been and always will be among our great country's leaders, and I'm glad you've joined our ranks. To help close our celebration, we have a special guest to give a Scoutmasters Minute. It's my dad, Distinguished Eagle Scout, Dr. John Hovhanessian.
Okay, team, thanks very much. Good day. Hey there, new Eagle Scout. I'm John Hovhanessian. You know, in my professional life as an eye surgeon, when I perform a procedure, whether it's a corneal transplant or a cataract surgery to restore vision or LASIK surgery to help someone see without glasses, I have to be prepared for anything that might happen and might threaten my patient's outcome. I have to always be ready to use the skills I've learned, my knowledge, and sometimes a little bit of courage to travel outside my comfort zone to make sure my patient has the kind of result they deserve. In many ways, my background in scouting has prepared me for this. It gave me a set of rules to live by, a lot of confidence that if I follow those rules, I can do more than I ever thought I could have. And maybe most importantly, it gave me a desire to help make the world a better place. Now in the future, whether you wear the uniform of a surgeon or a first responder, a chef, an attorney, an engineer, or a scientist, you too will be similarly prepared to help other people at all times. Because forevermore, underneath your professional uniform will be your scouting background that makes you the person you are. Whatever uniform you choose to wear, don't forget about your scouting background. Go forward, Eagle Scout, and make us very proud.
If I had 1,000 tongues, I would sing with everyone. Voices like a mountain song, sing you are my only one. Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Never understood, but life can be this good. I would launch 1,000 ships just to be about your lips. Tell them all to sail away, just to see you every day. Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Never understood, but life can be this good. If I lived 1,000
Thank you for joining us in a celebration of you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.